Frederator! You've probably heard of this company at the very end of the Adventure Time credits. Frederator's history is actually pretty interesting, having been an MCN, those predatory multi-channel networks that would get YouTubers to sign up with them and take a cut of their money, promising that they would help grow their channel and have assets and resources for them to use and get them sponsors, which, they never actually do, except I've heard Frederator is actually pretty good and actually does all that stuff, unlike the multi-channel networks that I've been a part of. I have talked to some other YouTuber friends and they say that Frederator is actually legit, so that's nice. So Frederator has their own YouTube channel, Cartoon Hangover. This channel was originally supposed to be a channel where they produce cartoons exclusively for the internet, so no cable channel or streaming service would be involved. It was very advantageous, but it didn't really work out because producing a cartoon is a lot more time consuming and therefore a lot more expensive than people would usually think. Or, on the other hand, YouTube doesn't really pay as much as people who aren't YouTubers would think. Why do you think there's always a new drop of Hell of a Boss or Has-Been Hotel merch? YouTube ad revenue is not paying for that show. On this channel, Cartoon Hangover, Pendleton Ward, the creator of Adventure Time, was working on Bravest Warriors, which is basically Adventure Time, but sci-fi, and they can curse and make naughty jokes if they want to. So of course, I was on board with this. Adventure Time is literally my favorite show. But little do people realize, there's also been someone else who has been working on Adventure Time that hasn't actually gained the same level of notoriety as Pendleton Ward. And that is Natasha Allegri. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but then again, I thought Neon Genesis Evangelion was Neon Genesis Evangelion, so what do I know? And this person worked on Adventure Time for 5 whole seasons, and is also the one responsible for creating Fiona and Cake. I would like to personally thank Natasha right now for making Fiona and Cake. You're doing God's work. And because her and Pendleton Ward are friends, when Pendleton Ward was working on Bravest Warriors, Bean Puppycat was being funded on Kickstarter. They made a 2-episode pilot series and then a 10 episodes for what people consider to be the first season of Bee and Puppycat. And then for maybe 4 or 5 years, they worked on the Netflix series for Bee and Puppycat, Lazy in Space. And Bravest Warriors moved to Verve. I don't think a lot of people know who or what Verve is. It's a streaming platform because, as I mentioned, they were not making enough money on YouTube exclusively, so they had to eventually bite the bullet. I have no doubt I have a few details missing, but I didn't really mention 2 cool cartoons, but whatever, you guys don't need a play-by-play. What you need to know is this show, assuming your first introduction to Bee and Puppycat was through the Netflix series, has been in the works for a lot longer than you think. Ever since 2013, actually maybe a little bit before 2013, I think. The series started off as 2 5-minute shorts where Bee runs into Puppycat from a portal after she just got fired. And it's got that fun, not quite refined feel that pilot episodes have, where they're just exploring the ideas and trying to find what works. The colors and the general design differs from the main series, but the writing and the humor are all basically the same.
You took too long. Now your candy's gone. That's what happened.
And it's in these shorts we find out that Puppycat was a space outlaw that was transformed into a little animal after trying to run away with the princess. And also, I guess he's being hunted or something, but we know that doesn't pan out much. Bee and Puppycat was a series of shorts, and it centers around Bee, this girl here, who does a great job of portraying a woman who is single, lives alone, and has a lot of interest as most any other person. She's a very normal kind of person, and she lives in a not normal world.
Who wants to make 1 million babies with me? Who wants to make 1 million babies with me?
And this is Puppycat, a literal puppy-cat hybrid alien thing that has sentience and is the foil of Bee, and because Puppycat is opinionated, tough, and knows what it wants, but is also just a little animal and wants cute animal things.
Puppycat!
There's Deckard, Bee's friend, who is totally in love with her, but Bee doesn't realize because relationships are complicated and Deckard isn't ready to stop being Bee's friend because going from friend to partner is harder than stranger to partner. Also, Puppycat is like an alien that gets them weird jobs in alternate realities and stuff because B needs money, this was capitalizing on the quote-unquote young adult with no money desperate to find their way in the world before it really exploded in recent years, which was largely why Bee and Puppycat established a cult fan base. You can definitely feel how Natasha Allegri was influenced by Pendleton Ward, or maybe both of them are just like that, I don't know. Both Bee and Puppycat and Adventure Time are normal people in weird worlds. Bee and Puppycat's setting is normal until it's not, while Adventure Time is a weird setting until it's normal.
No time! Give me my gum!
I'm sorry, what? I get that Puppycat is technically an alien, but the role of Puppycat is the pet. And so Bee just kissed her pet. A lot of original online animated series during this time was trying to capitalize on that weirdness factor that made Adventure Time pretty popular. Odd settings with cryptic messages that sound kind of smart, even if they're just a bunch of word vomit, or sometimes they're actually very nuanced thoughts that actually get you thinking. Either way, you get a cute animated show, so it doesn't really matter. And the nice thing about having a bunch of words stringed together that sound very smart is that it is up to the individual to interpret what it's supposed to mean. So technically it still works. Also, fun fact, if you guys want me to not beg you to subscribe, you have to actually subscribe. I've been going a long time in this channel without ever having to ask you to subscribe. Now I'm asking you to subscribe.
I'd murder you.
Oh, the sweetness of gum.
The relatability of Bee being a young adult woman and all the unknowable things that come with it, as well as the soft pastel aesthetic, makes this show immediately enjoyable and is very quick to draw you in. People around the 2010s are learning that there's a market for an in-between cartoon, in between a children's show like Chowder and an adult show like Rick and Morty, where people like weird themes but don't want it to feel mean. A comfort weird show, and the internet provides the perfect place for that sort of show.
And watch her till the new episode of Pretty Patrick Lunchtime comes on at 9.
Butt cleavage?
I identify with this crap. It's not about boobs, or butts, or thighs. It's about the squish. Comment if you agree. What was fun around this time was the subtle influence that anime was having on Western cartoons just prior to anime really getting mainstream. Like blending the desire to be a pet, but it's in a Spirited Away bathhouse setting.
Well.
Oh, shoot, We Love Fine. I forgot about that company. That was a real website where you'd buy fan merch. I don't think they exist anymore. You got it here first. There's actually 3 genders, the mysterious third gender. The Netflix series that released recently was actually in development while this show was releasing online, which is weird to think about how long it took them to fully flesh out the Netflix series, or what happened behind the scenes to get Netflix to pick it up all that time ago. This show has the inklings of a bigger plot. Not even really a bigger plot, just like areas where they can flesh out the characters more. Like Bee not having her dad in her life anymore.
Dad, I know I'm an adult now, but I haven't had a good birthday since you've been gone till today. I'm having fun now, though, even though I miss you.
And the best part about these shows is how they give the creator, the writer, a lot of control, because they will add tidbits that are just so relatable. And you just can't really get that with a company sticking their hand and doing everything they want with it. Like how Bee will do every side quest in a video game before getting to the main plot because she's afraid of failure.
You just want to bite and mess everything up too?
Is that Aaron Hansen from Game Grumps? About like a little more than halfway through this show, they just randomly go, you know what? I think it's time for you to feel bad about the characters. Like Bee finding out that Deckard isn't going to cooking school because he wants to stay with her. Or finding out the reason their landlord is a kid is because the mom is in a coma. And then on a job gone wrong, we find out Bee is not human, it looks like. What the heck? And we know Deckard is human with that blood, so it's just, okay, random, I have questions. Deckard decides to go to cooking school. Apparently he's just not talking about Bee and her arm and stuff. Deckard is another character going through a big life change. He's going to be living alone for the first time, and he's scared. The first season only lasts 10 episodes, and it ends with a lot of heartache. Everyone's life is changing, and no one knows where it's really going. They're just drifting. A lot of things are happening all at once, and they're just trying to get through it. I was definitely too young to understand what this show really was when it first came out, but now that I'm in my 20s, I appreciate it so much more. Now, the Netflix series was supposed to be released in 2019, as they would say at the end of several of the online episodes. But as you can tell, that didn't happen. Probably because of pandemic-related incidents, probably because there's usually a lot of speed bumps that happen when you take several years to develop a show. Probably a little bit of both. There's also that thing where Netflix just doesn't want to support animated content anymore, which I'm not sure if that actually has anything to do with this, seeing as this was being developed way before then, but I don't know. Which is absolutely stupid, given that some of the literal best animated content that you can consume right now is on Netflix, or at least in partnership with Netflix. And I'm not talking about where Netflix buys the rights to a show and then just calls it a Netflix original like they did with Little Witch Academia for some reason. I'm talking shows that premiered on their platform first, like Castlevania or Arcane or Cyberpunk Edge Runners. But that aside, let's look at the Netflix series. Be in Puppycat again for the first time. Now you can see it still has the same charm as the original animation did, only a lot more cats. And Bee is much more soft looking. There's several subtle differences between this show and the last, but all the characters are largely the same and the tone of the show hasn't changed, which I appreciate. This show has a hard reset for the series. Bee just got fired, except this time it was because it was Deckard messing up baking. Deckard is still on the fence about cooking university and stuff, and this is to be expected. The online show did really well, but it didn't reach the mainstream, and it wouldn't be fair to expect people to jump into the Netflix show having the background knowledge that the fans did. Puppycat appears from a portal from the sky, just like before. Why they decided to add all this detail around the turd, this is weird. Anyway, the vibe of the show definitely shifted somewhat. Not a lot, but instead of quirky internet pseudo-otaku vibes, it's got a lo-fi chill vibe. And Bee didn't tell her boss that Deckard was the one that set the kitchen on fire in order to establish that like she likes him and doesn't want him to be fired, so she'll take the bullet for him. Oh, that's cute. Watching this show, it's somewhat strange watching just how much it's different. Like, all the same story beats are there, even some of the same lines, but the humor isn't really there anymore. Well, this is just the first episode, so we'll wait and see. It feels like I'm watching the same show, but from a different universe. It's weird. And that is supposed to be a fish. Given that they kept the space outlaw fell in love with the princess, who is Puppycat, and explicitly say that this weird monster woman isn't the only one after him, it feels like they're going to more heavily focus on that for the story of the show.
Maybe we can make cute octopi from these hot dogs.
Octopi isn't a word, Bee. The plural for octopus is octopuses.
Oh my god, do you have any idea how much this annoys me? First it was no, it's octopi. Then it was no, it's octopodes. Then it was no, why are you making things more complicated? The English language isn't that stupid according to the origin of octopus. It should still be octopuses. How did we get on this random sidetrack? What? You know what? All versions are allowed. I don't care. Octopi, octopodes, octopuses, they are all now, I am dubbing it all absolutely appropriate plural forms of octopus. Stop thinking so hard about it. This is, obviously we can't get on the same page, so we will force everyone to be on the same page. Oh, so they're going to connect Bee's father with Puppycat? That's a good idea, to be honest. I like that. They didn't flesh out Bee's father at all. And I think they're foreshadowing the big reveal of Bee being a robot, or maybe they're shifting away from that and just fleshing out her dad's past more. I don't know. She was a baby in that flashback. Robots don't have baby forms.
I heard that you can tell how strong someone is by the number of enemies they have. And you've somehow managed to make everyone here hate you.
That's it. I'm not a terrible person. I'm just really powerful. Oh, also, hello, mama. Also, randomly while working, the black hole hands appear, and I'm like, what the heck? Is that the thing that's hunting down Puppycat? They did not flesh that out in the online series. Cardamon, the landlord, is the awkward character that knows way more than they let on, but don't realize their information is important, so they just coast until the big reveal of that information comes. It's a whole thing. The first 3 episodes of the Netflix series basically adds up what happened in the entirety of the online series. It looks like they really got a grasp of what they wanted to do at the tail end of the online series and use that as the jumping off point for the Netflix series. Which is nice because if you didn't watch the online series, you kinda don't need to. However, a lot of the jokes that were in the online series are either not present or they changed the delivery of the jokes that just doesn't pack the same punch as the online series. And it's kind of weird and somewhat disappointing.
Well, won't you be sad if I'm gone? Why is everyone trying to get me to leave?
Deckard, why are you afraid to pursue your dreams? Come on, dude, that means they love you, you loser. So, I was wrong. Turns out B is still a robot, or maybe a cyborg, who knows? Same thing happens. Evil hands attack, B saves everyone with her cool cyborg powers. You know how it goes. It's just slightly different, but also not different. A weird, strange, somewhat upsetting difference is that while B is using the magic box to repair her arm, there's this little guy that jumps into her arm and teleports into a whole little dimension where her dad is. I am lost. I'm very lost. I'm glad they're doing something about this, but it's still weird. Why did you abandon your child? This feels wrong. Now we get to see what happens after. And the cat cafe is run by Deckard's family. Now B is having to deal with the awkward situation of going back to where she was fired because she kinda grew up with Deckard's family and promised Deckard to look after them. This is setting up to be an Otome setting, and I am okay with this. The pacing of the show is way better at episode 4. You can feel that they're doing what they've set out to do instead of trying to play catch up with their previous season.
Hands in space camouflage have been ravaging planets. The temp agency tried to trace the arms back to a source, but they're too long.
Also, apparently Merlin got that boxer hot chick pregnant, which is such a weird turn of events. I don't buy it. This sounds fake. Cardamon's mom is crying blobs of colorful tears, so that's something that may pan out later. You can't hide that cool S from me, I see you. The cool S is actually hidden like throughout this entire show. They aren't even that hard to find. You can tell this show was originally created in like 2010s era. So one day Puppycat decides to break through a wall and sees a mysterious spiral staircase.
You're a doctor. Make me a pill that makes me invincible.
No.
Then help me perform a demonic ritual to increase my strength tenfold.
Okie dokie.
You know what? I changed my mind. Merlin is a good partner. Anyway, Puppycat finds what is apparently his stuff inside B's apartment walls, and also a teleportation gun that isn't his, so it's probably B's dad's? A lot of scenes is Puppycat discovering all of his stuff all around the place, like his ship underneath the water, but the painful part is that he never really does anything about it. It's never a big shock to him, because he knows he can't really do anything about it. He doesn't know how to change himself back, and he can't go back to the princess he loved because the warlocks who turned him into a monster will find him. So he's stuck running, not really able to do anything else other than try to live out a new life with B. And he's stuck in his memories, but we get a glimpse into who he was before he was a little cat-dog hybrid, back when he was an outlaw and his friend that he hung out with. He's also Tom from Toonami.
Because his voice is boring. It's all high-pitched. Is it weird that we live on a space station that exists solely to manufacture copies of me?
So him and his crew hunt and collect these little pieces of candy, and these candies are pure energy, and we saw them use this candy on B's repairs. Oh my god, wait, that little kid, is that B's dad? Even though they show him leaving his family when he was a kid to pursue the life of an outlaw, they don't elaborate on the circumstances between him and the princess. You can see his ship behind the princess, but how they met or her significance is still largely a mystery. almost like remembering her is still too painful. I hear the common complaint in this series that, a lot of charm that was in the YouTube series is largely absent from the Netflix series. And I can see that, especially for the first 3 episodes. Given that the delivery of, as I mentioned previously, they just changed the delivery of a lot of the lines, and it's like, what the heck, guys? Episode 4 and onward is where this show really starts to shine. A lot of that charm is brought back. Though it's not quite the same, it is a lot better than the first 3 episodes. First 3 episodes just feels like an obligatory thing that they had to do, that they didn't feel like they should have to do, but they did because Netflix probably was like, hey, it's gonna be a long time after, the online series. We're gonna need to catch up people who are don't know about the online series. And I understand there's probably concessions that needed to be made, given that Netflix no doubt put their hand into the show somehow, as all companies are wont to do. But all things considered, I just don't share the same sentiment that this show has lost its charm. At the very least, not to the same degree as everyone else.
These are my babies. This one is my favorite because this one gets me. My favorite baby is probably gonna grow up to not be a particularly great person. Little Ross, you'll be a war criminal someday, won't you?
For example, what the absolute fuck? In other news, we find out that those hands that are popping up everywhere are these weirdos. Underwhelming.
Why the f didn't they invite me?
Why are you guys doing what you're doing?
Oh my gosh, a gift. You love me.
Yes.
I didn't need to add this, I just wanted to. This was sweet. Also, is it kind of weird that Puppycat is actually a fully grown adult but still acts like a child? Is that part of the curse, or is that just him? Well, then again, if I was starting life as someone's pet, I guess I would fully embrace it as well. You know what? Never mind, I get it now. You saw that, right? I'm not the only one who saw that. Right? That is what it feels like to eat good cake, I guess. Also, weird thing, remember Deckard? He's just not really in this show at all. They'd show him and be texting and him struggling in cooking school, but other than that, so far, he's not important to the plot. I'm hoping he's important eventually, given that they're supposed to have a crush on each other.
Golden eyes.
Wait, is that Erin Hansen from Game Grumps? What's fun is that over the season, they make her belly a little bit bigger, but I fully expect there to just be a bunch of pillows or something in there. I still don't believe it's a baby. Eventually, Molly comes back. That one guy that made those wish donuts, he's fine.
Darn, there's a piece missing. When it's not fully eaten, the wishes get weird. Sometimes they don't come true. Sometimes they're just weird.
Wait, is that why so many weird things have been happening?
I gave Cardamom a wish donut. I thought he'd wish for his mom to wake up.
Oh, you can't use my crystals to make people do things.
Well, that's even worse in this specific circumstance. Molly can teleport, so he teleports all those tears away from them. At least one problem is solved. Problem is that he teleports them to these guys, the ones hunting down Puppycat. And they basically hack his brain to get the location of Puppycat and to have him teleport them to him. So this all backfired. Also, Bee can go underwater. She just thinks it's boring. Really? You've been avoiding all your sunken technology because you dislike getting wet? Your pet is part cat and they have a higher tolerance to getting wet. What is wrong with you? I thought it was because you were part cyborg.
I wish I wasn't a landlord anymore. I wish my mom was awake. I wish all the adults would start acting like how they're supposed to.
Okay, a freaking 7-year-old has it the roughest out of everyone here. Why did you do this? Why would you write this? I want him to have a childhood. And then Puppycat breaks part of his chair, which then wakes up Cardamon's mom. Why? Turns out the whole island is a machine of some sort. Kinda saw that coming if you saw the giant antenna. But also, why?
I think I made my wish, and now we're all going to die.
Oh, it's okay. Come on. It's late. I've missed you, Cardamom.
Thank you. You know what? I can forgive all the other random stuff. I needed this.
This is weird.
Do you think this is weird?
Yeah,
Finally, someone is pointing out that this is weird. This isn't normal.
Wait, I thought it was all supposed to be normal people in a weird world.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong?
Turns out the whole freaking island is Puppycat's ship. So I guess that explains that. Don't worry, he saves everyone. Then he saves Molly, so that's nice, I guess.
I don't know how he got out, but we're both going back to sleep now. Unhook me when we find your stupid dad.
Oh, well that explains it. They were supposed to be asleep. Oh, no, wait, why? So they leave Earth to find Bee's dad, and that's the end. What? I mean, at least we got some answers on some stuff, but the majority of everything is still unanswered. How confident were you that you'd get a season 2? Did I like being Puppycat in space? Yes. I mean, I guess. Am I upset that there was a lot of hoopla that was never explained? Also, yes. They foreshadowed a bunch of stuff and it feels like they only half delivered on it. Why was the princess asleep the whole time? Also, hey, post editing negative. I realize now that Violet is just the little girl who he ran away with and started becoming space outlaws with. So that is not the princess. So I still got that is still intact. I'm assuming that's the princess. I'm not even sure. Why was she supposed to be asleep? Why was Cardamon awake when he wasn't supposed to be? This does feel very Adventure Time with storytelling. They give you some bits and pieces and they'll get around to answering it, eventually. I'm guessing everyone who watched the show and experienced that ending is really upset because we don't have a guarantee that there's going to be more seasons. When it came to Adventure Time, it started off with a bunch of just fun cartoon episodes. And then they slowly started to add the deeper meanings and plot and world development, knowing that they are, rest assured, they're going to have a lot of seasons to flesh this all out. We don't have that safety with Bee and Puppycat. So my question is, why would you take that risk? I feel unsafe. I am going to be left with these feelings and absolutely no catharsis. I now understand the appeal of fan fiction. I am going to need someone to write an ending for this show if it does not get a second season. Oh, if that wasn't the ending, I would have said that this show is a great comfort show that you can just put on and chill out to. But now I'm just filled with conflicted emotions. I am upset. I want another season. Not to mention that Bee and Puppycat also had their own line of comic books, that of which, of course, I read. It's like the Adventure Time comics where all the stories that aren't really tied to the main series. You can pick up and read it even if you haven't watched the show. Not only that, but there is a cookbook that is currently selling for $300 online. And I donated it because I didn't realize how much it appreciated in value. I didn't want the cookbook in the first place. My comic book guy just said, oh, you're getting Bee and Puppycat stuff? Boom, here's a hardcover Bee and Puppycat thing. And I'm like, awesome, I'll take it. Brought it home, opened it up. I'm like, oh, this isn't a comic book. What is lame? Who would want this? I don't cook. The fact that it is $300 is so stupid. I also had the exclusive Rose Besh, I think that's how you pronounce her name, cover of issue 1, but I had to sell it because I'm getting rid of my entire comic collection. I got some stuff graded and sold those, and I'm finally at the point where I am wiping away the very last bit of my comic collection. By the time this video is released, I will have already sold the comics that I used for B-roll for this video. But if you lived through the initial episodes, should you go watch this show? The answer is yes, because I want another season, and the only way I'm gonna get that is if a bunch of people watch this show. Netflix needs to be convinced that we want another season. I must mobilize my troops. Play it in the background if you have nothing to do. Screw The Office or whatever it is you watch. Put this show on instead. Do it for me. Do it for my conflicted emotions. Do it for the people who worked on this show and for I don't even know how many years now. Do it for you, so you can know my feelings. Please, and thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a Patreon. Comment your thoughts about Lazy in Space. Did you like it or did you not like it? Are you going to watch it or are you just gonna put it in the background for me? Let me know, promise me. Stay beautiful and keep playing.